1955 Plymouth two-door station wagon. Plaza model. No options, no radio, just has a heater. Had 38,000 miles on it when I bought it back then, and it has 42,000 on it now. I put reproduction tires on it at the time, and it's been all these years, and the tires are in need of replacement just because of age and dry rot. So we are going to go about doing that. It's not real simple. Got painted rims, and I don't want to scratch the rims putting the tires back on. These are the old tires after they were removed, so let's show you how we got to this point. I don't want to scratch the rims, but it turns out I had to repaint them anyways. The hubcaps are interesting as they have the original part number on the back in a water-soluble ink, has the Chrysler, Plymouth, DeSoto, Dodge emblem, and that first hubcap I washed back when I bought the car, the ink washed right off, so I stopped washing them after that, at least on the inside. It's been a long time since I've had these off. Long time. Really weird. It's going against your instincts to turn them the wrong way to loosen them. That's right. These have left-hand threads on the lug bolts on the left-hand side of the car. Put this to go inward. Take these off. It's difficult to turn them because your instincts tell you you're going the wrong way, and you also have to remember to set the impact wrench to the remove side. Yeah, lug bolts, not lug nuts. These are white wall tires painted over, just like the ones I'm replacing them with. And they're from about 1998. There we go. These have to be dismounted from the front side because the ledge is short in there on the front and deep on the back, which means there's a good chance of scratching up where there's already scratched a bit here. Let's see what we got here. So it's really impossible to do this without scratching the rims up. The first time I did this, I did paint them with an enamel automotive paint. At the time, I taped over the original pinstripes to leave them alone. These are some of the easier tires I've ever removed because they're not that stiff on the sidewall and they're fairly large for the rims. They're 15-inch tires, and they were purchased, the new ones were purchased from Lucas Tire in Long Beach, California. This is easier than most that I've done. Razor blade works good for this. Cutting the valve stem off. That's all it takes. Now this is one of the new tires. It's a Goodyear Super Cushion Deluxe from the era, and it matches the spare tire that came with the car that's in the spare tire well. And I'm, of course, mounting the white walls to the rear because the black wall tires are no longer made. I had to put a block of wood in there because the tires had been wrapped up so tight they would not spread open. It's very important to not forget to take the block of wood out. After mounting these tires on the wheels, I had to paint them because it's impossible, at least for me, to mount these tires without scratching the rims a little bit. So what I did was I taped off the pinstripe to save the original pinstripe on these with a 1/2 inch fine line tape, and then I sprayed these with a urethane based enamel, and I sprayed it very, very dry, so it was dull. And I gave that about 1/2 hour to tack up real good, and then I hit it with a 2-part urethane clear coat. And but I clear coated after I removed the tape over the original pinstripes, so the pinstripes are now clear coated. In order to do this without overspraying on the tires, I made these using craft paper. I made these masks here. Okay? Now the tires are not inflated yet. That's why I could paint all around the edge of the rims. So now that the clear coat is cured, I can take these off. And I got the 4 tires. So then I'm going to reach underneath here and I'm going to put in a valve stem. And a little bit of overspray on one of these, but then they're going to have to be cleaned up and turned over, and the white wall I'm going to paint black. It's interesting to note that the spare tire does not have a pinstripe on it. I guess they wanted to save the expense of pinstriping the 5th tire. Put a metal valve cap on there and just use a pair of side cutters to pull this through. It's pretty simple. There it is. A yellow dot goes to the valve stem. It turns out the strap was not enough to inflate the tires. They've been wrapped up so tight for a while. It might actually work. It might. give it a try. It's not going to work. These are the two things I'm using. Euro paste for lubricant on the rim, and I'm using this tire soap right here, Truflate, which I get at Fisher Auto, and that's the tire soap for sealing the rim to the tire. Put the Euro paste around here, like this, like this. I'm setting the dot on the tire to the valve stem, which should be the lightest part of the tire goes to the valve stem, because that would be probably the heaviest part of the rim. So it's time for tire soap. This stuff will make your hands real clean, by the way. This falls under the category, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. That's gonna blow. That's right, if I don't cover this up, that tire soap will blow up and be hanging off my basement ceiling. Yes, it finally popped. Here's where it's really helpful to have a basement utility shower. It's 20 degrees outside and using a garden hose is out of the question. It's the original Chrysler mat here with the Dodge Plymouth Chrysler DeSoto emblem on it. Spare tires underneath. I made a decision to pull the spare tire and use one of the 4 tires as a spare. The tire I'm pulling out of here has been in the car since I bought it, and I believe it is one of the original tires from the 1950s. It's also a Goodyear Super Cushion Deluxe black wall tire, which they don't make anymore. And I doubt it would go more than 3 or 4 miles before it would just blow out because it's so dry rotted. Noting again, this is the rim without the pinstripe, which is the spare tire rim that appears to have been installed at least once on the vehicle. And this tire shows some wear. Possibly it was rotated into use many years ago. There's very little evidence of any use on this rim. There's evidence that there was lug bolts installed on it at least once, and the hubcap has been on it. And there's a weight on the back, which is interesting. It makes me think that they took one of the 4 tires, rotated it onto the spare, and took the spare and rotated it into service back in the late 1950s, possibly. No one will ever know, but a spare tire is no use to you if it's so rotted that it won't get you home. The method I use to not damage the rim when I don't need the tire is to drill a hole and saw the tire on both sides. As long as you break the bead first, it'll come right off. The hole is so I can get the Sawzall in, but you must break the bead on both sides, because if you don't, you'll be very, very sorry. I don't go all the way to leave the tire in one piece for disposal. As you can see, it comes right off once you've done this, as long as you've broken the bead first. I'm using Rust-Oleum 2X flat black spray paint that's available at Walmart. Because of the cold, I had to set up a temporary spray booth with plastic in one of my garage stalls with heat. Now what I do is I take one of the labels off one of the new tires and I folded it up so you don't see white wall, and I just glue it to the spare tire so that it looks kind of like a new tire when it's in the well. There's my spare with a new valve stem and a label. Ready to go back in the car. My garage is very tight and I do have heat in there. This is the L for left-hand thread on one of the left side lug bolts. These Era Plymouths have a locating pin there to locate the wheel on the hub, but you cannot get at the brakes without pulling the front wheel bearings. And the back brakes, it's even harder because you need a hub puller because the brake drum is on a tapered shaft on the axle, and you have to have a special hub puller that you hit with a sledgehammer to break it loose. Luckily I have one of those. And now reinstalling these bolts, you have to go counterclockwise because of the left-hand threads. I torque these bolts to 85 foot-pounds. Now dropping the car back down on all four new tires for the first time. I have not balanced the tires. I'm going to drive it first in the spring, as I never get above 45 miles an hour, maybe 50 miles an hour tops with this vehicle. And if it needs balancing, if there's any shaking, I will take them and have them balanced and have the weights put on the back side. This has been over a week of work to do this. I'm going to put the spare tire back in the well, and time to wait till spring and give it a ride. Thanks for watching.